All right, guys, let's take a look at this Alpina Startimer. Here is the hang tag. You can see the part number there if you want it. It'll be in the description, or you can pause it and take it right off this because I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it. I think the retail price on this thing was originally just under $1,000, like $995. It seems like these are slightly difficult to get now. They must have been, pushed out for a new model because it seems like everywhere is out of stock. Essentially, there's a few of them floating around. When Joma had them in stock, they were at like $630. I think there's like one left on Amazon for just under $8, and I think even Noman has them for like $8.90. So the pricing's kind of all over the place. My buddy Mimo is actually an authorized dealer for Alpina. So there's all kinds of options out there if you're looking for this style of watch. But this particular one might be a little difficult to snag up. You're probably going to really look at the secondary market, used market, something like that. So a viewer of the channel, Ben, big thanks to Ben for sharing this watch. He also sent in a Tissot, so we'll look at that later. But right now we're going to take a look at this guy. Really clean looking, quality, luxury almost feel and look to it of a pilot style watch. And it's, on the larger side. So I'm going to warn you right now, if you have like a 6-inch or 6.5-inch wrist, this one's not going to work for you. I think the minimum size wrist you're going to want for this guy is going to be 7 inches. So, and that's just my opinion. I know everyone wears watches however you want to wear them. That's just, I'm throwing it out there because the size of this watch is a 44 millimeter case. The lug to lug is a very long 53, but you can see the case profile is very thin and you have nice turn down on the lugs, but it still is a 53 millimeter lug to lug. That's pretty long. The thickness of it, or rather thinness, is only 10 millimeter. You have a slightly double domed sapphire crystal in here with an amazing application of anti-reflective coating. I couldn't find any information definitively stating if it was on the top and bottom, but I suspect it's on top and bottom because it looks like in most light that there is no crystal, and I usually only see that on when they do the AR on the top and bottom. Like Zen does that, Breitling does that, Omega does that on a bunch. So, and they do it really well, and I think they're probably sourcing this crystal from the same places that those manufacturers do. The lug width here is 22. You can see this leather strap instantly tapers down. I didn't catch what it tapers down to. It looks like maybe 18. Let's see if we can grab it. Yeah, like 18, just under 18. So it has a really nice taper to it. It adds to the comfort level of it. You have a stationary keeper here, a floating keeper, and then stainless steel signed buckle and tang there. Signed crown. You can look at the shape of that crown. Cupcake, I guess, or something. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Tons of grip on it, but it doesn't, for how big it is, like it doesn't dig into my wrist. I wore this around the house for a few hours and I didn't notice any issue with it. Typically, I'm a bit of a baby about that digging crown issue. This one, I didn't feel it at all. So pretty bizarre on that one. So more about the watch. This is a 100-meter screw down crown, 100 meter, you can see it right on the dial there, or 330 feet. Water resistance. It has, kind of hard to tell here, guys. Maybe we can catch it in the right light, but everywhere I read, this is supposedly a very dark matte blue dial, and you can see wonderfully applied indices at the 12, 3, 6, and 9, and then the Arabic numbers on the other positions there. Nice railroad style, well, not really railroad, but minute track going around the outside with your 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, all that good stuff, and then a red triangle up top instead of the Perry the Platypus that you usually see on pilot style watches. And if you look at the handset there, really high polished, nicely shaped, leaf style almost handset with the minute hand stretching way out there to catch those numbers. The second hand even further, almost to the very outside perimeter, and then the hour hand touching all of the Arabic numbers, just missing the indices at the 12, 3, 6, and 9. So you can see a screw down case back, really nicely done, pretty smooth. It's not going to be irritable on the wrist at all. Some information there. The movement information is the AL525. Best information I can find on that particular movement is earlier Alpina ones were a ETA 2824. I think these later iterations, because of just dealing with supply issues, I'm pretty sure they fully switched over to the Sellita SW200s. And they must either buy a really high grade one, or they must do some in-house regulation. I suspect they probably buy high grade ones. This thing on the time grapher is producing +3 for its timekeeping, and the other numbers, the amplitude and all that, are like perfect. I mean, this movement is very good movement. It's good to go. So they also, from the pictures that I noticed online, Alpina also installs a custom rotor that's almost like offset. It's pretty wild looking. If you get a chance, go, well, it'll probably be in the description. I'll probably have a link for you to check it out. I didn't want to pop the case back off. It's not my watch, so. But nonetheless, pretty cool. It's nice when companies do that extra little bit, even though we don't see it. We know it's there. I mean, it'd be cool if it had a display case back of sorts, if they were going to have a decorated movement in that really cool custom rotor that you typically don't see. The other thing on this watch is you're going to notice is that date window at the 3 o'clock doesn't really upset the dial. I don't feel like it's in your face. I mean, it's obviously there, but I think that's partly because they matched that date disc to the color of the dial and then just did a nice white printing on it for the numbers, which also match the printing on the dial. So yes, I recognize that it's there, but it's so small on such a large faced watch that I don't feel like it messes up any balance or anything like that. So let me pop this guy on wrist. This tang is a little tricky for me for some reason. I think the curvature of it, but you can see there on my 7.25 inch wrist that it wears great. I mean, it's more of a traditional type pilot watch in the fact that it's, you know, large. It has really good wrist presence, super legible, easy to read, and it's going to have some good lume. I'm not sure what they use, BGW9 maybe. We'll pop the lights off here in a minute, and hopefully you guys can help me determine that. I did not find that information. So overall, really good looking watch, really thin. Let's take a closer look at this, because I was trying to look at this too. You know, you guys know how I like when crystals are pressed right into bezel-less cases. I can't tell if that is the case here, or it almost looks like that. So that ledge there, I don't see a separation line. I think this crystal is pressed right into the case, just like I've had a few others in the past where I'm just a huge fan of that. I don't know why. Because typically watch construction, you're going to have the case, and then you're going to have, you know, I say bezel, and I know you guys are thinking like a dive bezel that turns and everything like that. But this is still technically a bezel right here, right? So this portion here, it's higher than the case. But if you look, there's no separation line at all. So I think this is all just one piece milled out, and then the sapphire crystals pressed directly into the case. So there really isn't a bezel as such as a separate piece, other than it's just milled out of the case. Huge fan of this. I don't know why. It's just one of those things when you know you like something, you just like it. And that's just one thing I like about a watch whenever I see it, because I don't see it very often, and it's pretty fun. This one's a little tricky because it is polished up top there, so it almost gives you that illusion that it is a separate piece. But when you do a closer look, I don't think it's a separate piece at all. So let me know what you guys think about that. Let me pop these lights off so we can get a lume shot. This is a really good looking watch. I'm very happy that Ben sent this over. All right, so it's definitely not BGW9. It is a really nice green glow. You can see the handset has a little bit brighter application, and then the indices, again, are pretty close to the handset, and then the numbers are a little bit dimmer. So there's definitely lume, but it's, you know, it's not going to be blinding at night or anything like that. So very good looking. I'm guessing it's some sort of heavy application of C1 potentially is what I'm guessing. So all right guys, thanks for watching. Big thanks to Ben for hooking us up with this watch, and I will talk to you later.